I'm going to be talking about wrestling, which I just saw the 3-hour Slammy show of Raw. And I'm going to stop you before you even start. And I know a lot of you are going to get on my case for watching wrestling. And, you know, you're right. You're absolutely right. I don't know why I was watching today. I don't know why I used to watch before. And honest to God, I don't know. And I don't know anymore what I'm doing watching this horrible show. And I've never felt compelled to come on screen and talk about it, let alone admit that I've watched wrestling. But this was so bad. So enormously bad. You know what's funny was, I was actually watching TNA Impact, and that show, as for everything I've ever said about Raw, or I'm going to say about Raw, Impact is so much worse. It's almost like you can't... I've seen backyard wrestling shows where people clobber each other with fluorescent light tubes that is better booked than TNA Impact. But let's just forget about that for now. And, you know, there's so much better wrestling that goes on, like even Dragon's Gate or Ring of Honor and stuff like that, but Raw... Have we reached a point now where we just don't care? It doesn't make any sense. Nothing that goes on this show is good or watchable in any way, and they felt compelled. They're like 2 hours was not enough to contain this fucking show. We need to go 3. To think that any asshole is willing to sit through 3 hours of this stuff. My God! Like, it's a wonder I sat through it, and the only reason I sat through it was because I could not believe the car wreck that I was watching going on this show. And, you know... I can't, to talk about this show, you have to talk about Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, the pay-per-view that was on the night before. I was just reading the recaps, and I can't believe what was going on. I cannot believe how pathetic and tame and just worthless this show is. And I think it all starts with, for some reason now, they've become so afraid of violence on their wrestling show that for like 2 pay-per-views in a row now, they have had to stop a match. Just stop. Cold. When a wrestler has started bleeding. I remember the Iron Man match between John Cena and Randy Orton, and we're going to come back to that, where Cena gets busted open over the eye and he's bleeding. They're like, no, stop the clock, stop the match. We have to sew this up. So they glue his head shut. And so there's a ladder match between Christian and the gold standard Shelton Benjamin, in which Christian accidentally gets a cut under his eye. Stop the match. Stop. They have to stop the bleeding in this match before we can proceed. This is so unconscionable to me. Like, what is the crowd supposed to think? Just for years, from the beginning of wrestling, from the beginning of time, we've seen blood in wrestling matches. Wrestlers gigging has been just to think we're just not doing it anymore. Is unbelievable. Oh, sorry. Drop my mic here. But like Ric Flair, one of the biggest legends in the wrestling business, he would cut himself every night. If you actually get a close up of Ric Flair, his face is like this wasteland of scar tissue. And like, we're not doing that anymore. Nothing. No. We're not going to have people get hurt on the wrestling program. And, it just slays me. I think what really killed me about TLC was the match between Batista and The Undertaker in a chairs match. And you know what? I don't even think they've ever clarified up till now what a chairs match is. Like, I get that it's a match with chairs, but I don't think anybody was really clear on this. Like, was that it? Okay, so during this match, Batista gets the win by, I think the ref gets hurt, or gets kind of mashed in the corner, and so, Batista hits a low blow, he punches him right in the sack, and then waffles him with a chair, and then pins him, and you're like, alright, that's your match, and like Batista's celebrating with his title, and out comes Teddy Long. And my brother had a big problem with this one because, well, Teddy Long comes out and he goes, you know, this isn't going to fly like this, player, because chairs may be legal in this match, but low blows are not. So we're going to restart this match, and we're going to do it right this time. And of course, Undertaker kicks him in the face with a chair, and gets tombstones him and wins, and we're all happy, right? It's, the logic here. Okay, so you can beat a man mercilessly with a chair. You can pound a man with a steel folding chair into unconsciousness. You can beat him beyond recognition. There's no disqualifications for this. You can murder the man with a chair, and that's fine. But you punched him in the sack. Oh no, that we can't have that. That's not legal. Stop the match. No. So, and my brother had so many problems with this one that I didn't even come up with. You know, my problem was like, in a ladders match. In a ladder match, they hang the belt above the ring. There's no disqualifications in a ladder match. You can, I assume you can punch a guy in the groin in a ladder match. I've never seen a DQ in a ladder match. A tables match. A tables match does not end until someone goes through a table, which is stupid. But let's just roll with that logic. If somebody punched the guy in the groin and then threw him through a table, would Teddy Long then come out and go, "This is a tables match. We're not punching anyone in the groin. That's just wrong." But no, here's our chairs match, where and my brother said, what if he hit Undertaker in the groin with the chair and then pinned him? And I was like, that's a really good question, because he hit him with the chair, which is legal, but he hit him in the groin, which apparently is not. Okay. So, and our new world champion, by the way, or WWE champion, there's 2 belts now, is Sheamus. And I'm not even going to go on about how Sheamus has so not paid his dues in the wrestling business, but let's just, you know, if you were going to protect John Cena, who the only thing he sells is merchandise, the only way you would ever have him lose the match is in a tables match, wherein the only way you can beat the guy is to throw him through a table, which essentially proves nothing, settles nothing. So, you know, the only thing that's been proven in a, like, if you pin the guy, you've beaten him, you know. There's been something established here. But you throw the guy through a table, and all you've proven is that you were able to throw him through a table. And that's the title. The title has now changed because of that. Does it make Cena a bad wrestler? Does it prove that Sheamus is better? No, it proves that he got thrown through a table. So, Sheamus, breakout superstar of the year. And, you know, I guess that makes sense, because at least it wasn't Drew McIntyre, because the only thing I remember Drew McIntyre doing was beating up Fit Finlay for about 8 weeks in a row. So, Sheamus, you know, I would love to see that guy under a black light. You'd probably go blind, that albino motherfucker, but anyway, I guess I should talk about the Raw, the 3-hour Raw. That's okay. So, Dennis Miller comes out, and immediately you know he's in trouble. So, talk about a waste of intellect and talent. like, just watching Dennis Miller come out and try to entertain these people with his very intellectual brand of comedy, actually using words that have more than 2 syllables. And just watching the ice cold reception, just you kind of expected him to be like, this thing on cha-cha, and you were just watching that in the first 5 minutes immediately made me think, like, why am I watching this? I'm so much better than this. Because, like, if you had all identified with Dennis Miller, you knew that Dennis was just like, why the fuck? Why am I doing this? Why Raw? Why here? I'm about to bring out an 8-foot-tall fucking Irishman who is... He's paler than the skin on my ass. My ass has never seen daylight, and it's darker than fucking Sheamus. And does Sheamus have a first name? Are we really just going to call him Sheamus now? Or is he John Sheamus? I remember hearing somebody botch that. Was it Cole who did that? I don't remember. You'll have to excuse me. I'm so blown away by the assness of this show. But I think where it really struck home to me was we were going to get this by the Tag Team of the Year, Jericho and Big Show. And by the way, other than DX, I would defy you to name another tag team in the WWE, because the tag team division in wrestling has been dead, and has been dead for, 10 years? Like, this tag team wrestling is pathetic. God. The very notion that we have named tag teams blows my mind now, because actually we have more named tag teams than I can remember in a long time, like the Hart Dynasty. By the way, how weak is that connection to the Harts? You have D.H. Smith, who is I think the son of Davey Boy Smith, who was in the Hart Foundation. Not a Hart, but in the Hart Foundation. So you're like, tenuous but okay. And then you have Tyson Kidd, who was the last graduate of the Hart Dungeon, he's nothing to do with the Harts. So, like, that's your Hart Dynasty. I think they just have them put together because, like, they just want to get that Bret Hart guitar lick in when they come out. Like, beep! Crime time. DX, the most rebellious counterculture mid-40s married fathers. To think that Shawn Michaels, the Christian dynamo now, and Triple H, the 40-year-old guy who's banging the boss's daughter, they represent the revolution in the WWE. And Jericho and the Big Show. So they win Tag Team of the Year, and they're like, I'm going to... Show is like, we're going to retain... I mean, what? Regain, yeah, that's why he's the smart one. We're going to regain the Tag Team Championships. And so, we're going to challenge DX tonight. We're going to get our titles back. And so, here we go. Big match where... I can't... It has to be the worst... I admit I'm biased right now, and this is fresh in my mind. But this is just about the stupidest thing I've ever seen in wrestling. And I'm thinking like gobbledygooker, Mark Henry Mae Young giving birth to Mark Henry's hand fetus child, the Shockmaster. They're all funnier, but I cannot think of a stupider moment than the DX Jericho rematch, which was over in just about 2 seconds. They get in the ring, the bell rings, and then I think Triple H bitch slaps the ref or shoves the ref down. Ref calls for the bell, disqualifies DX. Your winners are Jericho, but since the title doesn't change hands on a disqualification, DX is still your champions. And then Jericho is thrown out of the arena, thrown off of Raw, and we're happy about this. I cannot count the ways in which this is stupid. So we're just basically admitting now. What are we admitting? The tag team division is and has always been and always will be a sham. 2, DX does not give a shit about wrestling. They don't give a shit about money. They don't give a shit about their record. They don't give a shit about putting anybody over. They don't give a shit about the fans. They don't want to entertain people. And they don't give a shit about the wrestling business in general. We're admitting that wrestling matches in general are meaningless because nothing really matters unless you happen to be Triple H or Shawn Michaels or John Cena, because winning in matches doesn't matter. Winning doesn't, unless it's a title match, it doesn't matter. You can just, and if you're the champion, you don't have to defend your title. You don't have to wrestle a match you don't want to. If you're the champion, all you gotta do is push the ref the hell over, get disqualified, and go home. That's WWE. Get yourself DQ'd, and who gives a shit? And we've been doing this for a while. It occurred to me with the whole Randy Orton thing, and damn you for making me remember Randy Orton, because I take great pains to block that fucking wrestling zombie from my head. But for months, he was just trying to get himself disqualified. I remember several pay-per-views where they just kept restarting the match because Orton kept trying to find every way to weasel out of the match, like getting disqualified intentionally, getting himself counted out, having people run in and just hit him to get himself disqualified. And it just occurred to me, we've been doing this for a while. So, WrestleMania, if the champion doesn't feel like wrestling at WrestleMania, he can just get himself disqualified. If Shawn Michaels wants to beat The Undertaker and snap his undefeated streak at WrestleMania, all Shawn Michaels has to do is have Triple H run in at the very beginning of the match and punch him in the face. Getting The Undertaker disqualified, Shawn Michaels wins by DQ. Who cares? Who cares? I don't care. They don't care. Who's writing this? I don't know. What kind of precedent are we setting here? Where you just get yourself disqualified. I don't know anymore. Why indeed do we watch this show? Why do you pay for tickets? The matches don't mean anything. And we're just flat out telling you they don't mean anything. Why do you bother? It's all fake. And on Impact, they had a segment where fucking Mick Foley, he goes backstage and he runs into the writers and he runs into Vince Russo and he's like, "You guys do a great job. So why don't you write for me a segment where Dixie Carter returns my calls? Hey, wrestling's fake." I know that it's fake. You know that it's fake. We all know. But we're watching. We're watching because it tells a story. We're watching because we'd like to pretend. We'd like to escape for a little bit. But you might as well just... You're not even trying, are you? When I do my show, I do my fucking stupid show, and something happens in a movie, and you cut away to the movie, to me, with like this really goofy reaction on my face, like I'm watching the show, like I'm watching the movie, we're like, we'll need a lot more hemp before we're through, and I'm like, and you're like, that's Spoony, he's so funny, he just saw that on screen. You know I'm not watching that on screen. You know I'm not really watching the movie. It's written, it's scripted, I'm doing reaction shots, I'm acting. But, why didn't they just print out their lines on a piece of paper, bring them out, and stand in the middle of the ring and read their lines? Why don't they just show clips from the video game? Why do we need people? There's more blood in the video game now than there is in the fucking show. The matches in the games are better now than in the show. You can actually hit a guy in the head with a chair in the game, but no, we have to protect. We can't have blood and violence on the wrestling show, which has been a part of wrestling from Hulk Hogan. So, Triple H comes down to do the award for Match of the Year. And you're like, talk about a way, like, telegraph, incoming. I wonder who will win Match of the Year now that Triple H, one half of DX, is coming out to present. Sure enough, Shawn Michaels. If Triple H had actually said, CM Punk and Jeff Hardy, and CM Punk came out, and CM Punk is like, why are you here? I don't know. You think we're stupid? How goddamn. What other awards were there? Diva of the Year. I was really hoping this would go to like Michelle McCool, just because I would love to see like the worst actress in this show, Michelle McCool or Melina, who. What fucking happened to Melina? It must the SmackDown editors coming to Raw must have been the worst thing ever happened to Melina, because how long has she been on Raw? Has she done a single move successfully yet? So Maria wins. And Maria, who's been off the show with injury, I think, for how many months? And they do this 7-on-7 Divas match. And a Divas match which lasts for about a minute. And I don't know why I'm complaining about that, because the shorter you can have those fucking losers in the ring, the better, because they can't wrestle. And I think they only had the two women who could actually wrestle in the ring. I forget who it was. Was it... you know what? Now that's it was probably Alicia Fox, but I know they had Mickie James in there, with pretty much the only one who can wrestle. And this those were the only two women who wrestled in his 7-on-7 Divas tag match. Two chicks wrestle. It's over in about a minute, which is just as well, because I can't imagine watching those women try to wrestle in those dresses they had coming out. My God. What else happened? I remember when they introduced Triple H, Dennis Miller is like, the show, Triple H. When he's supposed to be the game, Triple H. And I don't know how Dennis screwed that up, because he was fairly obviously reading off a teleprompter the entire time. So that was puzzling. Excuse me. So they have this tournament to determine Superstar of the Year. No, wait, I gotta go back. So, the Oh My God moment of the year, which has now become the Oh My moment of the year, because now we can't say Oh My God. We can't say Oh My God. We don't want to offend anybody on our wrestling show. A wrestling show that used to have figures like the fucking Iron Sheik. We used to have like General Adnan and the fucking Sergeant Slaughter who was siding with the Iraqis during Operation Desert Storm. So, the oh my moment of the year, which should have been this whole fucking show, was, out of all the moments they could have chosen, somehow they chose Michael Cole throwing up at the Thanksgiving show. Who saw that? You had these wrestlers doing these great things. Jeff Hardy jumping off a fucking ladder, which was actually sad to consider being like the most extreme moment on that fucking show. Michael Cole fake throwing up on a guy. If that's what it takes to shock you, how sad is it that... How sad indeed. Okay, so we have this tournament to determine the superstar of the year, and this is trouble. So the first match is John Cena versus CM Punk. And, I don't know why I let this surprise me anymore, but CM Punk's jobs out in like 3 minutes. And he jobs out to the STFU. He taps out like a bitch. John Cena, through this whole thing, he no-sells everything. He no-sells a DDT on the floor because the only thing he sells is merch. And when did the STFU, just this no-talent fuckstick is busting out STFs like he's some kind of technical wrestler. It makes you ill. And the fact, what did CM Punk do? I can't imagine. You could have run up. You could have slapped Linda McMahon in the face, and I don't think you could have pissed Vince off. You could have. I don't even know what. What did CM Punk do? When did he become the jobber bitch of the WWE? How far has he fallen? Really? So, John Cena comes back, and he's like, I'm sorry. I disappointed everybody, but I'm going to win my title back, and I'm not going to lose a single match until WrestleMania. And so I thought maybe what they might do, here's me thinking again, was they might do this thing where Cena immediately loses his next match, and he's like, damn it, where he, that's his WrestleMania feud, somebody beats him, The Undertaker maybe, or Undertaker just kicks his ass. And he's like, what am I doing? I've hit rock bottom, and so WrestleMania gonna be Undertaker and Cena. That might be a good match. But no, we've pretty much admitted now he's not losing a single match until WrestleMania, so you might as well just book it like Royal Rumble, everything. He's winning all the way through. Randy Orton versus The Undertaker, and, you've really got to work for it when you are slower than The Undertaker to the ring. But Randy Orton somehow has done this. I remember there was this match where it was like a gauntlet match or a handicap match where Cena had to face all of Legacy. And it was Cena had to face Jericho and the Big Show and then face Randy Orton. So Cena beats Jericho, but he's all beat up. It took everything he had to beat Jericho. Then Big Show just comes in and just annihilates him. He knocks him out with his fist. He beats him up with a chair, gets himself disqualified, but he doesn't care. He starts ramming the chair into his spine. He's beating the shit out of him. Cena's dead. Just dead. Randy Orton starts to come out, and he comes out so slowly, it literally takes him, and I'm not saying literally, it's 5 minutes of just really slowly walking to the ring. It takes him a commercial break. He comes back, he's still coming to the ring. By now, Cena's better. You know, I know at the best of times, Cena wouldn't sell a beating like that for Orton, but, like, to think that you actually gave the guy 5 minutes to recover. So, Randy Orton and Undertaker, they wrestle a match, and the only guy who will sell less for a guy than Cena is the Undertaker, because he has to be so protected that he won't lose to anybody. But if you're going to make him lose, you might as well have it be a count-out victory. So, sure enough, it's about a 2-minute match, and Undertaker gets counted out. So, here's where the rock bottom starts. So the finals for the Superstar of the Year. John Cena and Randy Orton, or as I prefer to call it, Again! You know, the whole year, every pay-per-view that Raw has had in the last year, the main event has basically been John Cena and Randy Orton for the title. And they have just bounced the title back between these two motherfuckers for a year, if not longer. So, they have a Hell in the Cell, and then Randy Orton wins the Hell in the Cell. And, which should be, Hell in a Cell is where, like, feuds go to die. Where, like there is not a match in the WWE that they consider tougher than Hell in a Cell. But no. John Cena comes back, and he's like, we have to settle this once and for all in the most extreme match we can come up with, an Iron Man match. Because after about 12 consecutive pay-per-views, the one thing people want to see now is an hour of Randy Orton and John Cena. But you know what? We were promised that this was going to be the last time. You know, so the last time, we're going to do this, 60 minutes, it's over. Now, I didn't really believe that. I don't think you did either. But we were going to roll with it. We were like, you know what? As long as it's over, I will fool myself into thinking this. Fine. So they do this thing where Cena wins. You know, nobody is stunned. Nobody's shocked. But whatever. It's over. The next week, they come back. Orton comes back. He's like, I don't care. I want Cena again. Now, he doesn't get Cena again. But, like, the story week after week after week on Raw is Orton like, I have to get a title shot against Cena again. How do I do this? So, and you think I'm kidding. No. Like, he goes to Jesse Ventura, who's hosting Raw, and he's like, I want a title shot against Cena. And Ventura's like, I can't let you have that. It's time for Captain Freedom's workout. Ha! You know, like... So Orton keeps pushing and keeps interfering in matches, and finally Jesse Ventura's like, all right, you can be number one contender if you fight in this match. And you're like, again? So, sure enough, tonight, Orton versus Cena again. To think, you know, I'm sorry that I so rarely find myself speechless. I can talk at length about anything. And I'm watching this show. I'm already pissed off about fucking DX getting themselves DQ'd. And then they're like, for our third hour, be sure to tune in because we're gonna have Orton and Cena again. Is it any better than the last time? No. And it will stun none of you to learn that Cena wins. Again. I know, I know I'm forgetting half of the stuff that pissed me off during this show. I remember MVP being out there introducing some god-awful segment. And I think it was Diva of the Year, and you could tell he was so not feeling it. He's just like, why am I... Like, you could tell MVP was like, what the fuck am I doing here? So that was Raw. Wouldn't recommend it. In fact, I wasn't even really watching. I haven't really watched Raw in a long time. And I know it seems like I remember a lot about this, but I wasn't really watching. I was taking my tutorials for my Adobe software. Like, I'm trying to learn this stuff. And I can smell. Like, you can smell the stupidity coming off the screen. And so, like, after every tutorial, I'm looking back going, like, has this somehow gotten stupider? And it has! It's like, sometimes you ask yourself questions about the wrestling business. Like, I used to watch ECW a lot. Not the new ECW, which is shit, by the way. But I used to watch the old ECW. And, a lot of people talk about ECW like it was some golden age, like it was flawless wrestling. It was garbage. It was pretty well crap most of the time. Now, it did have good wrestling on it. But you had to look for it. But ECW's big thing was there was no disqualifications in any match, which was really tiresome because that meant, like, anything could happen, There was, like, the booking was just all over the place. There was nothing to it. Like, there'd be people winning titles that weren't even booked for the pay-per-view. So, it was frustrating in its own way, but the example that springs to mind for me was, like, there's no DQs in a match, and yet they would have tag team wrestling. So my point is, like, it's one of those unwritten rules where in a no DQ match, in a tag team match, people still tag in and out, and you ask yourself, why? Why do they tag? I don't know. Like, it's not like they're going to get disqualified. And so, if a team just kind of jumped over the rope and started fighting 2-on-2, you might kind of scratch your head and be like, well, that makes sense. But there's certain other things that just kind of occur in wrestling that you would be like, you ask yourself the question, why doesn't the wrestler just get himself disqualified if the title doesn't change hands on a DQ? And then you immediately answer yourself the same question by going, that would be really stupid. And nobody would watch wrestling if that happened. Well, you know what? They just did it. It's Thunderdome. The belts are meaningless. The championships, in general, are just little toys now. They don't mean anything, because now the champion can never lose his belt. He can just not show up. He can get himself disqualified. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. I was going to go on some kind of rant about chairs matches, like previously in a ladder match, like if it used to be like if somebody got himself disqualified, they'd be like, all right, we'll put you in a no disqualification match, so where you have to win. No, we don't have to do that. Why don't we just bring a gun to a no disqualification match? Let's just answer ourselves that question. All right, let's just do that. Like, it's like, I'm the here. Hang on a second. I'll be right back. Here. I'm the World Wrestling Federation champion. Right here. And you know what? I don't feel like defending my title. I'm just gonna punch the referee whenever I want. And as soon as Teddy Long comes out and he's like, no, I'm gonna put you in a chairs match. I'm gonna punch the guy in the balls, and then I'm gonna hit him with a chair. He's like, no. You can't hit a guy in the balls in a chairs match. It's a no disqualification match now. So I'm just gonna take out my 45 and I'm gonna shoot John Cena. And assuming he sells that, I've just killed the guy. I pin his corpse, and I win. That's pro wrestling, folks. Who gives a shit? I don't. It's a scam, and it's not real to me anymore. Do you see what this has done to me? And you know what's really scary? I mentioned this before. Hang on. The sad part is, Impact is worse. I know. Impact. I wasn't even watching Impact until recently. And if you think I'm wrecked after this, you should have seen me after I watched last week's Impact, which was not even by far. That was actually one of the better Impact shows last week. Oh my god. You know what? I would almost suggest you watch Impact over this. Because when it comes to bad wrestling, when it comes to bad booking, WWE is just starting. Like, they're just getting used to cranking out shit of this magnitude. Impact has been doing this for about 2 years now. Oh, yeah. They've refined their shit into a finely honed craft. And it's only going to get better. Or, it's only going to get funnier. Because Hulk Hogan has just joined TNA Wrestling. And if you think it's bad now, wait till you see Hogan, brother, because we're going to get into legendary territory here. Vince Russo and Hulk Hogan. Wrestling. Yeah. I've probably gone on for about 3 hours now, and I hope it was more entertaining than the 3 hours you wasted on the fucking Slammies. I hope so. I hope it made more sense. I'm going to go drink heavily now, and I may never stop.